Hey, you guys. Okay, so really quickly, I wanted to get a video up and done before I started my day. I've got a bunch of stuff to do today. I'm supposed to get to this hair bleaching. Oh, I'm not really looking forward to it, but in a way, I really am. I've been tired of this hair for quite some time. Okay, but in this video, I wanted to talk about just some thoughts that have come to mind. Something Courtney Love has said. And I know. Okay, here we go. Oh boy. She really asked for it on this. And hey, I'm a Courtney Love fan. I have been since I was 17. Since she had her band Hole and a few albums. And, Courtney was a mess, a train wreck. But I liked a lot of her lyrics. I related to a lot of her songs. And there was something about her I liked, because I always kind of had that personality where I kind of had to find the balances of walking in many different worlds and different worlds at once, and kind of not go too far overboard with either one, but able to see and relate and empathize with certain things. Anyway, so here she is, and this is what I'm talking about, referring to. And it's got my attention because it wasn't just one little article that I saw. It's like several people are starting to talk about this now and circulate it on the news feed. And so it's in reference to Courtney making a public remark about Taylor Swift. And this very thing, I was just talking about this and posting about this kind of thing yesterday, and in my videos and writing, talking about how not just celebrities, but we as humans, how if we're focused on our own work and our own lane and really digging deep to and I know a lot of this shit is going to sound cliche and rainbows, but it's not. It's the truth for me anyway. If you've been through a lot of shit in your life and, whatever, you've evolved to a point where you can find some peace and balance. And as human beings, if we're focused on our own lane and really finding the best in us, our families, and the joy and beauty in whatever we create and we're doing in life, we really don't have time. It doesn't even occur to us if we're on a certain frequency and brain level. It doesn't even cross our mind to look over at another person and go, you're not interesting. You're not relevant. Your art isn't worth a shit. What are you even doing here? Okay. Generally, people that do that shit, I've talked about it, are unhealed. And, I have to speak in a way that reaches people in a down-to-earth, sometimes gritty kind of way, because, I've been around a lot of different types of energies in my life. I grew up with a lot of different types of people. And a lot of shit these days just doesn't reach people and figuring out the other, or they just blow it off as some dumb cliche, namaste, yoga mat, floating on a cloud, spiritual buzzwords, concepts, and they just, and really is not like that at all. So it's really the truth. So anyway, Courtney, generally people that do shit like that are unhealed somewhere. They're still not quite evolved or healed all the way with some shit they've been through in their life, their past. And I don't want to say the wrong things here, because it's not the same for every single person. I don't care whether you're an addict. I don't care whether you've been through trauma. Everybody can evolve differently. Okay, but here, I'm going to tell y'all what she said. She says, Taylor is not important. She might be a safe space for girls, and she's probably the Madonna of now. But she's not interesting as an artist. And she's even tiring. Oh, I guess Courtney, referring to Courtney, and she's even tiring a little of Lana Del Rey. I haven't liked Lana since she covered a John Denver song, and I think she should really take 7 years off. Up until Take Me Home Country Roads, I thought she was great. When I was recording my new album, I had to stop listening to her as she was influencing me too much. Okay. Now, I reposted this on my feed because Y'all, those who know me know I have a wicked sense of humor sometimes. I just do. Sue me. That's what I'm saying. That's why we need all types of voices in this world and personalities to share and testimony and share experience and knowledge, because we're all going to bring it with a different quirk. We're all going to bring it with a different balance and level. And I'm one of those people that doesn't go too far to either extreme. I get all sides of it. I am human. I do have character defects sometimes. I'm not perfect, floating on a cloud somewhere, just because I am spiritual and I'm very fond of spiritual teachings and positivity and continuing to self-actualize and heal and grow in that way and share information and knowledge along that line, along that energy. That's where I prefer to stay. That's what makes me feel best. Not to hurt others, to share positive, uplifting information that's open-minded and inclusive. I like that kind of shit. But I am human. I do find certain shit funny sometimes. Sometimes I can get downright petty if I'm in the right mood. Sometimes I can find shit that other people would find hurtful funny. We all have something, but it's not in my heart. I mean, we have to sometimes draw the line like, okay, where is this being really serious and where is this just fucking humor? It's comedy, it's satire. It's not really happening to somebody, but this is funny as fuck. We've all done that. We've all watched some narcissistic person just parade across the TV screen and walk right over somebody else's fucking face, and we've all laughed about it. Will and Grace, for instance. How many damn shows do people watch where somebody is an asshole or condescending or snotty or arrogant or picks at another person, jabs at them, whatever, what have you, and we watch this shit and we laugh at it, okay? So there's a line where it's humor, it's satire. It's not that we would want to do that or say that, or it would even cross our mind to do that to somebody in real life, but we are watching a hypothetical or acting situation. And a lot of times that's just what's within human nature. A lot of times people are putting on. A lot of times people do feel like saying that shit. They do have those dark, negative thoughts and feelings, and you're alive, you don't. You're alive, you say you have never in your life had a dark thought or fucking emotion or feeling. It's just human. So, that's kind of where I stand. Anyway, with Courtney, girl, you asked for it, okay? You really asked for it on this. Like, you should have just been quiet. I mean, what is Courtney, 65 now or something? She should be baking some cookies and, I don't know, chill out, playing her guitar, make her music in her own lane, instead of, maybe she did it to stay relevant. People are doing that all the time now on videos and posting things on Facebook. They post things that they know people are just going to go, what? And flip shit about, and say, of course it's going to draw controversy. You're the last person in the world that should be saying something like that, and here they come with all the commentary, and that means that person goes in the algorithm and they're relevant again, and they're getting noticed, and they're getting interaction on their postings and their channels and their videos, and that's kind of how that shit works. So I don't know what the hell Courtney's doing, but I'm going to real quickly just break it down a little bit, my thoughts and feelings on this, because I can see both perspectives. I reposted it because it kind of tickled the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie. It kind of tickled me at first. Just because. Have you ever been tickled at somebody that's so bold and so brash and just doesn't give a fuck what comes out of their mouth, and just got to give them A for balls, okay, in some ways, but at the same time, it's not a line you would want to cross. It's not where you're at mentally, emotionally. It's not the frequency you're on, and you really don't like to make people feel that way, and you wouldn't go around doing it. But there was a time in my life that I would have. There was a time in my life where I would have made remarks like that, or I don't know. I guess it just depends whatever the situation calls for. I could still be quite fierce if I need to be, but don't really want to be. Don't really want that on me. I don't really have those desires, it's just not where I'm at. But I look at it this way. Okay. For Courtney, here's where people are freaking out on Courtney and going after her. And that's what brought my attention to it. Everybody's commenting on this. Everybody's going after her. It's the fact that they're looking at it like, who the fuck is Courtney Love? How is she even relevant? And who is she to say anything like that about another artist who's way more famous than her, you know, who has had more in her career? And, you know, I followed Courtney her whole career. I had all of her albums. I liked all of her albums. I was a huge fan for a long time. I liked her films. I thought The People versus Larry Flint, when she played Larry Flint's wife, I thought she did an amazing job in that role. I really liked her in certain films. And, you know, but then she started backsliding and fucking being all chaotic and crazy again. And I mean, when you're like past 40 something or 50 and you're still trying to be strung out and you got terrible relationships with your children, your kid, and you're still trying to be this train wreck of a girl, it's like, girlfriend, I can't like you no more, honey. I just, you know, but it is what it is. I can still go back in that energy and relate to some of her music from that time, remembering where I was and what I lived and how those elements will somehow always be a part of me, that shadow side, that darker side, but how much I've grown and blossomed and evolved since that time. And I just feel like for Courtney to say something like that, for her to even have time in her day between making her albums and being a mother to her grown daughter and having a relationship and enjoying life and thanking God for what career she had and what fame she had and getting in touch with, you know, I can't imagine how she would even have fucking time to say some bullshit like that. And it's true. People are attacking her right and left. Who the hell are you? And they're really going after her, though, bringing up her past and, you know, what a train wreck she was. And who are you to ever even say shit about blah, 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 blah. Well, she did. It's funny she brought up Madonna because she did try to go after Madonna back about 20 years ago. She tried to get up under Madonna's skin and all that shit at the award ceremony, throwing her shoes up at Madonna and just trying to get Madonna off balanced. And it's like, you know, what the fuck? Once upon a time in my life, that might have been cool. This dirty, grungy girl who charges into award ceremonies or bars or whatever and drags people out by the hair and acts like a fucking crazy person. Maybe once upon a time in my life, that would have been a thing. You know, and it's not beyond me. If I had to be in a situation like that, it's not beyond me to grab a fucking bat and have to get a bitch off me. You know, I'm not one of those people that's ever going to just sit there like some little flower daisy and, you know, just put up with some crazy shit like that. But I saw where Madonna was just like, okay, you know, after a certain age, who participates in shit like this? Like, just running yourself into the ground and making a spectacle. But sometimes I get it. Sometimes we are fascinated by those train wreck people who are just, it makes us wonder, where are they at in their brain to act such a way, to be that out of control, and I've been very, very close to shit like that and experienced certain shit like that in my own life in the past, okay? But anyway, so for her to say Taylor's not important, not interesting as an artist, then she mentioned Lana. And, you know, I wasn't even into Lana Del Rey until probably about the last 5 years, 6 years. I got turned on to her music. I think it might have been through American Horror Story. I got into Lana's music. And oh my God, Lana has some fantastic songs, her writing. And it's just, to me, it has this balance of light and dark. But here's the thing. I reshared what Courtney said, and it tickled me because, like I said, that's why I'm such a complex person. And sometimes my mind feels like it's ripping apart because I relate to so many different perspectives and I can see so many different sides of things and understand them. I don't know. I haven't heard Lana Del Rey's music lately. I haven't heard this cover of, but I can see if you're into somebody for their darkness and then all of a sudden they change it up and they're doing, you know, some other bland, and you're used to this intensity level with them, and that's what it brings out of you, and now you just can't even connect to that anymore. I can see that happening. Okay. As far as Taylor Swift goes, it's just a weird thing for Courtney to say because of her position in life. And like, I mean, I get it, but I had to stop listening to her. Okay. For me personally, it's like, even though I lived a hardcore life at different times and I've seen literally so much tragedy and trauma and chaos and addiction and hard living, I've been in and out of all those worlds. I have lived in that. I've seen it, experienced it, but there was something about me that no matter how dark and hardcore things got, I was determined to not let myself stay hardcore. And I got pretty fucking far out there sometimes where I didn't know if I could be brought back. And I just wanted to keep evolving. I really wanted to keep evolving emotionally, spiritually. And in order to do that, you have to be vulnerable. You have to feel your feelings. You have to be in touch with the more simple things in life. Simple, sweet, pure. And there's a side of me that's always been that way, no matter how hardcore or no matter how modern, avant-garde, no matter what out there crazy shit I might get into or be into. There's a part of me that has always been very traditional, that has always loved Little House on the Prairie and cooking and cleaning and wearing my little apron and bonnet. I would have fit right in back then. Sometimes it's almost puritanical. I have this side of me that craves purity and in such a fucked up, corrupt world. And I adored that in Chad because he was very similar. We were both Virgos, and Virgos tend to have that kind of quirkiness about us, kind of dorky, kind of puritanical in some ways. But depending on what family you were born into and what hell you went through in your childhood and what you were exposed to and all that, Virgos can also be quite corrupt and dark. And, both of us, and he far more than me, were at times drowning in a really corrupt world and could not help those drives and addictions and buying into the corruption and at times not even feeling it corrupt, at times just feeling it a part of life and getting down with certain shit. But at the same time, he had a very loving, pure part of himself that was so sweet and so just that part that oftentimes kids coming from trauma and years of chaos and a lot of shit in their life and addictions keep guarded, heavily guarded, and live in a lot of fear of ever being that vulnerable and letting therefore that pure part of themselves develop and getting in touch with that shit and becoming more comfortable with that shit. He struggled with keeping it guarded a lot too, and his addictions and all that. But I adored that about him. That side that was a lot like mine, that was almost puritanical, that was very sweet and in the moment and kind and loving and about the simple things, little simple romantic things and just holding hands and just sharing a sandwich on the riverbank. And, there were certain things he was drawn to that were just very simple and sweet and pure. And he was a fucking Taylor Swift fan. Chad's the one that got me into her. I believe it or not. I know a lot of these dudes like to keep up some hardcore, and it shouldn't be an embarrassing thing. It shouldn't be shameful at all. To me, it's actually more courageous and more ballsy to just be you. Lovey-dovey and all. Vulnerable and all. you know, and he was working on that, at certain times. But in his defense, I'm going to say he had a little daughter at the time. She was a lot younger then, and she was into her at that time. And dads who have daughters tend to do stuff like that. They, and I love that. That gives them a chance to lose that hardcore shell, get more in touch with their emotions because of their daughters. They listen to pop music. Dads who have daughters will do a lot of things, okay? And I love that shit. That's maturity to me. That makes me feel safe. Rather than dudes who are just like, I ain't doing none of that shit. I don't do that. I'm too hard for that. My image. That is a no-no. That is run. That's there's no maturity in that. That's a lot. That's needing a lot of work. But yeah, so in Taylor's defense, okay, she's a pop princess. To me, she's like the Debbie Gibson of my era. I loved Debbie Gibson. And at the same fucking time, loved Metallica and Megadeth and Anthrax and Halloween and fucking hard shit, and was running the streets and got into fucking rap and into some, you know what I'm saying? I had that balance. But say something. I'm bumping Debbie Gibson. Say something. I didn't give a fuck. Whatever I was into, no matter how gentle, soft, poppy, quirky, no matter how it was something that other people would get made fun of and it would really get to them, I wish you would. I wish you would. I don't give a fuck. I had my own very fiercely strong identity, and I would make it cool. I have everybody in the motherfucking room listening to Debbie Gibson. Even the hardest core dudes, I don't give a shit. In time, I swear to God, that's the confidence and the identity you just have to have in yourself. At one point, I had all my friends, I don't care how hardcore they were, the dudes that were in heavy metal bands back in the day, or whatever the fuck everybody was doing, I had everybody listening to Christopher Cross. Sailing takes me away. Yeah. It's a lot of people, most people on this earth, I don't care how hard they are, man or woman, they have a heart. They have emotions. They have feelings. They want to connect. They want to feel something. But a lot of times it's terrifying for them. It's too much. It's scary. It's been gone so long. It's been protected so long. They've had to live horribly hardcore lives full of chaos and addiction, and starting way back from their childhoods to protect themselves, to protect the fragile parts of their ego that they are afraid to get in touch with. So it is what it is. Y'all know I can always take some shit and take it somewhere. And that's just where it goes. Because a lot of this shit is true. But yeah, Chad and I both like Taylor. He kind of got me more into her. I mean, literally, when we first got together, I would listen to all his songs and playlists and favorite stuff. And he had a lot of favorite songs by her. And not all of her stuff is super light, rainbow, poppy. If you listen to the lyrics, a lot of it gets pretty painful and dark at certain times. I really liked a lot of her music. But, I have a hard time when my heart is breaking or I'm going through something, missing someone or something. I have a hard time listening to any of that music because it's so painful and triggering to me. But, yeah, I don't, and Lana Del Rey, too. Love a lot of her music. And Courtney, I guess I'd have to say, I've outgrown most of her stuff. Only when I'm in an energy where I want to revisit that darkness, or when I want to revisit that attitude that I had back then. But most of her stuff, I don't really listen to it as much anymore. It's just not where I am. It's not where I have grown to emotionally and in a peaceful, loving, well-connected way. Now, she did have an album. I forget which year it came out. It was called Nobody's Daughter. That entire album was so good. And I don't care how dark, I still could listen to it and go back to it. Because I have that about me. I do revisit those places. I will always have those darker shadow sides in me that call to me, or that need to come up for healing, or whatever. But for her to say Taylor's not important, I'm going to wrap the video up with this. Again, like I said before, I just don't know how, I don't want to fucking sound judgmental about anybody. I've lived all kinds of lifestyles, whatever, what have you. Who am I to say what's good, what's bad, what's the right lifestyle, what's what? Courtney's just doing what the fuck she came here to do, probably living out her life and her lessons and her karmic debts and whatever the fuck. But I'm just like, again, if you are spending your time in your lane, thinking about the beauty and the gratitude you have for you being alive every day and the blessings in your own life, and trying to dig deep and find out, better yourself, and what are my gifts and what's my purpose and what do I need to build on to make, me the greatest I can be, and spend that love and time on my family and this energy with people I'm close to. If you're in that lane, you don't have time. You don't really even, it doesn't even cross your mind to look over at somebody else and go, you're not important. Your shit stinks. You're not a good artist. It's not valuable. When I hear people make commentary like that, it to me, now it may not sound like that to anybody else, but to me, and hey, call me self-righteous if you want, call me condescending, judge that if you want, but to me, it sounds automatically like they're in kindergarten. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like either envy or jealousy, or there's a place in them that didn't get to heal. And when there are places in our brain that don't get to come up for healing, or that we don't quite get to work through, arrested development is the word. I'm not going to say retards, but that's a synonym too. It keeps that particular part of our brain from growing. That particular part of us can't mature and doesn't respond to things in a fully mature, emotionally mature way, spiritually mature, whatever, instead of looking at it like on the level of every person is important. They, have just as much reason to be on this earth as I do. And whatever their work is, whatever the hell they are doing, from a garbage man to working at Taco Bell to a famous singer to, whatever the fuck, then I just wouldn't feel like the audacity. I wouldn't have the authority or to look over at someone else and make the assumption that their work here on earth is not important or interesting. It's like, who is she trying to play? What role is Courtney trying to step into here? That's just crazy to me. And I guess it's this thing of people get tired of Taylor Swift because she's so popular. She, the younger generation, that she's got such a large fan base, and which I hardly ever hear about Taylor. I'm almost 50 something years old though, so I don't feel like she's everywhere and just overly done. And but I guess that's what's up. People get tired of hearing about Taylor Swift. The way I look at it, she's just like, I don't know if she's the Madonna of this age. I don't know where Courtney came up with that. I wouldn't say that, because she's a little more on the squeaky, clean side, cleaner-ish than Madonna. I would compare her with Debbie Gibson of my day. And Courtney's a bit older than me. I don't even know if she's Gen X. She might be a boomer. In fact, I think she is. She's my brother's age. She's not even Gen X. I've studied this too. It's so interesting. The cutoff points from the generations and how they came up with these names, and starting back with, I guess, the silent generation and the boomers and Gen X, and now there's all these little subcategories. It's so fascinating. But yeah, Courtney, what are you doing? Girl. It's like, no, but comparing her to Madonna, saying she's like might be like the Madonna of now. Courtney, no. What are you on? Come on, clear your head up. No, no, no. Taylor Swift is not to be compared with Madonna, honey. Come on now. I think Taylor's great. I don't have any negatives to say about her. I'm kind of just indifferent. I mean, I think she's pretty. She's beautiful. Do I think she's an extraordinary vocalist? No. But do I think her music hits sometimes? Her lyrics hit. She's clever and cute and popular, and some of it moves me. Yeah. Now, that's a thing to go into as well. A lot of times, those of us who have been through really hardcore lives, lots of chaos, lots of addiction, and I feel like Courtney might still be there. Like she's not really evolving as much emotionally, spiritually through her, but that's not for me to judge or push on anybody. But a lot of times when you get stuck in a really hardcore place like that and you can't get out, or you've been there so long where everything has to be so hardcore in order for your ego to survive because it's so broken, it's so fragile, it's so traumatized. I've been there. I've done it myself for many years. I just put myself in this really hardcore place. I objectified myself. I didn't give two shits about white picket fence or touching base with feelings, especially in romantic situations. And I was really hardcore for a number of years, and I would get people away from me as quick as possible. So I've gone through many circumstances and cycles in my life, and I know what it feels like to be there. I know how they think. I know how they operate. I know how they feel. And I've been close to a lot of them that were far worse and longer number of years in that burnout and that guarded place than me. Been around a lot of men like that, been around women like that too. And you can get stuck there. And the thing is, it's like these people who are addicted to, I don't know if I can say that word in this video, but people who get addicted to certain hardcore things and they don't really work to come back into their body, to feel every emotion, to really connect to their partners, to touch base with some simpler, sweeter, more loving, that real part of their soul, they can remain locked in a very hardcore, chaotic place, and it will take more and more of that to attract them, for them to even find it enjoyable. It's like when we talk about sex addiction and people who become addicted to that, and it's almost like there's an entity possessing them, a dark entity attachment coming through them and just humping away, not even connecting, doesn't matter. People can get stuck in really dark places like that when they've had a lifetime of trauma, chaos, addiction, and they haven't really, tried to work hard to get out of it and touch base back into their emotions and feelings. Then yeah, the way they look at the world is, if it's not hardcore, chaotic, violent, addicted, suffering, struggling, some kind of corruption in it, then it's not exciting to me. It's not even relevant or interesting. They get stuck in a place like that. Yes. People in, I guess, the art world, people in relationships, if they're stuck in a dark place like that, or that's the only thing that can do it for them, is if it's dark, chaotic, crazy, strung out, weird, dysfunctional everywhere. And I know people that have very much longed for the more traditional, well-balanced, connected, sweet, because hey, don't knock that shit, because that's the level where you can, the other level, if you live on the other level too long, you're headed for burnout. You're not going to keep what you've got. That's a train wreck waiting to happen. But if you can get to this level of stability and connection and control of yourself and really connecting to things and feeling things on a deep level and managing your intimacy and vulnerability, then you can break those rules when you want to have fun. You can bend and modify things, but you always have that foundation in you to snap back to when necessary, to not let that train wreck happen, to not let it become all consuming where it destroys both people involved. So that's nothing to knock, baby. You just have to know the secrets. You have to find the balances. Don't ever think for 1 second that sweet, pure, well balanced, loving, feeling the emotions, vulnerability, certain types of intimacy. Don't ever think for 1 second that that's just what it is at face value, and that's boring. No, baby, because I'm here to tell you it is not. If you know the right mixes and you know the right balances, but not everybody can do that. A lot of people are just caught in one all-consuming, extreme fucking way of thinking and being, and it takes them over the edge. It destroys everything they ever touch. A lot of people are bad about going back and forth, longing for this more stable, connected, beautiful, but yet eaten alive and consumed by all of this hardcore chaos. And it's just so in them to reach for that they destroy what's good in their life too. Or they're bounced around between back and forth and it's miserable for them. There's all kinds of shit going on this earth, but my computer just went off. So, but anyway, okay, I just wanted to talk about that for a few minutes. There's a squirrel outside my window. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but, it's just kind of where I'm at in my life now. I can't say that I like everybody. I can't say that I just fall all over myself for everybody's music and, I just, support this and support that and worship this and worship that. I can't say that I don't have times where if it isn't intense enough or there's something about it that's, I've been that way a lot in my life too. If it's not darker or if it doesn't speak to something in my shadow side or deep within my psyche, then I'm not even interested. I'm looking over that piece of art or music or person or whatever. I've had times like that too. But getting stuck there, no. I want to be able to feel both. I want to be able to appreciate the simple, gentle, beautiful little things in life and feel those things deeply, and connection and vulnerability and just, and at the same time, I can see all sides of it, but I just don't feel like that's just not how I think anymore. It's not how I feel. It's because I've done a lot of healing work, which brings me back to the topic I started a couple weeks ago. Healed energy versus unhealed energy. And I specifically said healed girl energy that day because I was referring to Gwen Stefani and Drew Barrymore and the radiant, glowing, delightful. Of course, they have lives that make it a lot easier for them, but that kind of healed energy on a man or a woman versus the shit Courtney loves talking about and the train wreck her life has been. And that kind of thing coming out of her mouth instead of just nothing at all. That's how I feel. If I wouldn't even notice. It's like, but for the most part, everything that does catch my attention in this world, whether it's music, art, family, friends, somebody's career, whatever they're doing in their life, it comes in more naturally to me to just look at them like, okay. And my brain instantly tries to scan for the goodness in it. What is that bringing to humanity? Oh, that's wonderful. It instantly tries to scan what's good about it. Even when people are struggling at the lowest of levels and they feel like they're about to fall off. I had this conversation with my brother not long ago. Even when you're doing nothing, even when you feel like you are getting nothing accomplished in life, even when you just feel like you're just struggling and you're a burden and you have failed and you're not making money right now and you're not able to do, you are still important. You're here for a reason. Whether it is just standing here having this conversation with me in the alley tonight, I told him. Whether you're going to testify to people here in the future about what you've been through. Whatever it is, man. in the way that you take care of your plants and your gardening and your artistic abilities. That creative life force is in you. You are important to us. You are important to people. You're a valuable soul and you are worthy. You're worthy of loving yourself and caring for yourself, and you are worthy of love and deserving of it. You know, I've had these conversations. So I'm saying, even when people are on the lowest of low levels in their life, when they feel they're not even celebrities, they're not even doing, you know, I have had to have these conversations. And yeah, I just think it's weird for her to say, for that to even to occur to somebody in her position, and she's got all that wealth and fame. And you know, if people like me, people like us who have been down in the fucking struggle and living paycheck to paycheck and, you know, going through what we go through, if we can evolve like that and try to connect to our fellow human being and encourage them in their lowest of times and help them to see that they are relevant and important and special no matter what, because you have to feel that energy about yourself in order to keep going. It is very hard to get up and keep going when you don't feel anything about yourself. Okay? So it's very important for people to know they are loved and cared for and valid. And there are a lot of people that just can't do that for themselves. They have a very hard time feeling that and finding that. And I've been there before too. So anyway, I've let this get a bit long. I've turned it into something much deeper than, but you know what I'm saying? I'm still a Courtney fan. I still like her music a great deal. But, you know, the way I look at it, everybody's playing their role, Courtney. Everybody's playing their part. And I don't know, you probably shouldn't have said that, because, and maybe that's what she wanted, because that's how she's always been. Madonna's always been that way too, but Courtney on a different level. But it's kind of like getting old and ugly, like in your 60s or something, you know, to be all chaotic and saying condescending, nasty things about people, that they're not important, they're not relevant, they're boring, they don't belong, their work isn't interesting. To you, maybe, because look at your life. You've lived nothing but chaos and substance abuse and train wreckery. And of course, Taylor Swift's life wouldn't be interesting to you on that level, girl. But I feel the same way. I was trying to tell that to Chad and a whole bunch of folks back in the day. Love you, but that life is boring to me. I'm not trying to be a train wreck. That bores me to death, to just waste time, to sit up and self-destruct, to live in chaos and drama every day, where everybody's talking and everybody's arguing, but nobody's really talking about a fucking thing. Nothing is getting resolved or learned. We're not using our creative life force here. We're not making plans for the future. We're not, you know, in those chaotic moments. I can't stand that lifestyle. Just running the streets and doing nothing and just a bunch of fucking chaos and out of your tree every day and boring. There might be a bunch of teenagers, angsty ass teenagers somewhere who feel that way, who want to live like that and run like that. But for middle-aged people to be doing it, it is boring. That's changing. That's over. It's time to catch up. Most of us are evolving, and especially when we get into middle age, we just want peace. We don't want heart problems and high blood pressure and strokes, and we just want some fucking peace and balance, and we are damn grateful for every day that we have, and we're finding humility. And so that's what I'm saying. These folks that want to get an attitude about that, well, I can damn sure tell them straight up, what's up? So, okay, that's my commentary on the Courtney Love thing that's been going on, and Taylor Swift and whatnot. And I might make a part 2. I don't know. But for now, bye. I'll see you guys later.